Vincent van Gogh, The Vibrancy of Color and Emotion, Techniques, Recipes, and Stylistic Secrets. Vincent van Gogh, 1853 to 1890, one of the most iconic figures in post-impressionist art, revolutionized the use of color, brushwork, and emotional expression in painting. Known for his bold, vibrant palettes and dynamic, swirling brushstrokes, Van Gogh's unique style has captivated viewers for generations. His works reflect a deeply personal and emotional approach to art, with each stroke of the brush seeming to pulse with life and energy. To understand Van Gogh's artistic methods, we must explore his color theories, expressive brushwork, and materials that enabled him to create masterpieces like the Starry Night and Sunflowers. This narrative is sponsored by Polly Speaks For You. The creator of Polly Speaks For You has always been passionate about empowering individuals, especially those with disabilities or learning challenges, through text-to-speech and voice recognition technology. Polly Speaks For You isn't just a tool. It's a bridge for people to communicate and interact with the world in a meaningful way. By blending historical storytelling with cutting-edge tech, the creator showcases how powerful a voice can be, whether telling your own story or preserving history. So hit that like, share, and subscribe button and help this channel grow. Now back to the story. 1. Color, expressive, and symbolic. Van Gogh's use of color was not just about depicting the natural world. It was about conveying his emotions and reactions to his subjects. He often used complementary colors, bold contrasts, and symbolic hues to imbue his paintings with intensity and meaning. Van Gogh's approach to color. Complementary colors. Van Gogh famously used complementary color pairs, such as blue and orange or red and green, to create vibrant, energetic contrasts. These combinations heightened the emotional impact of his works and added a sense of movement and life. Symbolic use of color. For Van Gogh, color was often symbolic of mood or emotion. In his famous Sunflower series, for instance, the use of intense yellows reflects his desire to capture the warmth and vibrancy of life. In more melancholic works, such as his self-portraits, muted or somber tones dominate, expressing his inner turmoil. Experimentation with light and dark. Van Gogh was interested in how color could replace traditional shading techniques. Instead of relying on dark shadows, he used contrasting colors to suggest depth and dimension. For instance, in The Night Cafe, he used red and green in the shadows to evoke the tension and emotional atmosphere of the scene. Tips for achieving Van Gogh's color effects. Layering vibrant hues. To replicate Van Gogh's intensity, apply layers of pure color with a focus on complementary contrasts. Use vivid, unmixed colors to maintain brightness and energy in your palette. Expressing mood through color. Select colors based on the emotional tone you want to convey. Warm, bright hues like yellow and orange can express joy or vitality, while blues and purples may evoke a sense of calm or melancholy. Avoiding black. Van Gogh rarely used pure black, instead opting for deep blues, browns, or greens to convey shadows or darker areas, allowing the vibrancy of his palette to remain consistent. 2. Brushwork, expressive strokes, and dynamic movement. Van Gogh's brushwork is one of the most recognizable aspects of his style. His bold, swirling strokes give his paintings a sense of dynamism and texture, as though the paint itself is alive. His energetic application of paint often conveyed the emotional intensity he felt while creating each piece. Techniques for Van Gogh's brushwork. Impasto. Van Gogh used thick, expressive strokes of paint in an impasto technique, which involved applying paint so thickly that it stood out from the canvas, creating a three-dimensional effect. This allowed the brushstrokes themselves to become an integral part of the composition, adding texture and movement to the surface of the painting. Directional strokes. His brushstrokes often followed the forms he was depicting. For example, in The Starry Night, the swirling strokes mimic the movement of wind and stars in the sky, enhancing the painting's sense of motion. In his landscapes, the brushstrokes sometimes follow the curves of the earth or the shape of the clouds, making the painting feel dynamic and alive. Short, quick strokes. In many of his works, Van Gogh used short, rapid strokes to build up areas of texture and pattern. These strokes often conveyed the vibrancy and energy of the subject, whether it was a field of wheat or the leaves of a tree. Recreating van Gogh's brushwork. Thick, energetic strokes. Use a palette knife or stiff brush to apply thick layers of paint in a way that emphasizes the texture. The strokes should remain visible, and the paint should have a tactile, sculptural quality. Directional movement. Allow your brushstrokes to follow the natural forms of the subject, creating a sense of movement and energy. For example, if painting a landscape, let the strokes flow with the contours of the land or the motion of the wind. Textured surfaces. Van Gogh used both flat and rough surfaces, depending on the desired effect. Experiment with textured canvases or applying multiple layers of paint to create more complex surfaces that reflect light differently. 3. Materials and mediums, pushing the limits. Van Gogh's unique materials and his approach to using them allowed him to push the boundaries of traditional painting techniques. His experimentation with different tools, paints, and surfaces was key to achieving his signature style. Van Gogh's tools and materials. Canvas and panel. While Van Gogh typically worked on stretched canvas, he occasionally used wood panels or board, particularly when working outdoors in plein air. His canvases were often primed with a layer of white or light-colored ground, which helped the vivid colors to stand out. Oil paints. Van Gogh used oil paints with a high pigment content, which allowed for the brilliant, vibrant colors that are so characteristic of his work. He often worked wet on wet, layering new strokes of paint onto still wet paint to blend the colors directly on the canvas. Brushes and palette knives. He used both brushes and palette knives to apply paint. The brushes were often used to create fine detail or directional strokes, while the palette knife was employed to lay down thick, textured layers of paint. Van Gogh's palette. Bright, pure colors. His palette typically consisted of pure, unmixed pigments, including cadmium yellow, ultramarine blue, emerald green, and vermilion. He avoided mixing too many colors, as he wanted the pigments to retain their vibrancy. Limited mixing. When mixing colors, Van Gogh was careful to avoid muddiness. He often laid pure colors side by side on the canvas, allowing the viewer's eye to blend them optically from a distance. 4. Capturing emotion and subject matter. Van Gogh's work is deeply emotional, with each painting reflecting his inner state. His portraits, landscapes, and still lives are infused with a sense of personal intensity, often revealing his turbulent mental state and his profound connection to nature. Techniques for capturing emotion. Intensity in portraiture. Van Gogh's portraits, particularly his self-portraits, are known for their penetrating emotional depth. He often used exaggerated features, intense gazes, and bold colors to convey the subject's inner life. Connection to nature. In his landscapes and floral still lives, Van Gogh often imbued the scene with a sense of reverence and emotion. His thick, swirling brushstrokes suggest a deep connection to the natural world and a desire to capture its energy and vitality. Personal symbols. Many of Van Gogh's works contain personal symbolism. For example, his paintings of cypresses and wheat fields often represent cycles of life and death, reflecting his philosophical musings on existence. In closing, Vincent van Gogh's mastery of color, expressive brushwork, and emotional intensity make him one of the most influential painters in history. His techniques, from his bold use of complementary colors to his dynamic, textured strokes, invite viewers into a world that pulses with life and feeling. For artists wishing to capture the essence of Van Gogh's style, the key lies in the vibrant use of color, the energy of the brushwork, and the ability to convey emotion through every stroke. By studying Van Gogh's methods and materials, modern artists can explore new ways to express themselves and connect with their subjects. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. To learn more about South Africa's leading accessibility software, visit www.polispeaks4u.co.za and support this meaningful dyslexic initiative. Thank you for watching.